Hi friends, I've done a Q&A post 3 days ago on a Friday. I didn't really expect this many comments, thank you. So today's the weekly wrap up for the Korean server, so I thought it'd be best to take care of this today. Really sorry to say that I can't answer all the questions. I based it off of the top comments and picked one through random number generators. Those of you who did not have their questions answered, you can always come to my stream and ask, or if you guys are okay, we can make this into a series for now until question numbers drop down. Anyways, let's get on with the questions super quick. Historically, Lostark's been giving out free passes whenever a new class is released. Realistically, it sounds like they may give out a T1 or T2 pass at this rate. The passes always have been based on statistics where general play base are. For example, if Tier 3 becomes the norm, they will give out free T3 passes at class release or an express event. Consistently, it happened around every 2 to 3 months so far. To answer your question, I think it's best to work on your collectibles to increase your roster power, your O button in the game. Also, keep doing dailies to stock up on silver and materials. You always run out dry on those. So all the number changes like buffs and stuff are calculated on impact. This is the reason why sometimes burst classes tend to have higher ceiling, because you need to dish out the damage as fast as you can before the buffs run out. I've explained this on my Soul Fist guide in detail. Bleed and DLTs counts as hits as well. For example, if you look at my Soul Fist, I cast my buff related skill when burning is still going. The damage just increases on the last ticks. As for Bleed Rune, it's the same case. This is an example of me casting my buff while Bleed Rune is providing DLT damage. In the Korea server, they're useless, so I sold them off in the vendor. NPCs, not sure if there's any special traits for NA. Reason why all the priority lists are different for engraving is because everyone has different priorities in the game. It's a question of, do you value more damage, or crit, or movement speed? There are not that many engraving choices in the game, but if I had to filter out everything and put it into simple terms, it would be these series of questions. First, it would be something like class engraving. Do I need it as level 1 or 3? So it would be something like combat readiness and enhanced weapon versus remaining energy and demonic impulse. Second question would be, do I have charge skills or cast skills as main DPS? For example, RE Deathblade has a lot of charge skills, so supercharge will be priority 1, and Red Glancer as well. As for casting, it would be sorcerer, so all out attack is pretty good, as priority number 1. Then it branches off to these questions. Do I want more damage percentage? If yes, you ask yourself if you're afraid of getting more squishy. If the answer is no, it would be grudge. If the answer is yes, you look for any other engravings that can work for you. Or do you want more crit rate? There's Adrenaline and Precision Dagger as well. Or do you want more attack speed and movement speed? Spirit of Sorcery is a good choice. So instead of putting into what is a better engraving, it is good to determine what you need and what do you want to prioritize per person, because everyone has different playstyle. My Theory of Craft video explains this in detail. You can figure this out by pressing the item atlas, Alt D. Or on your Una reputation window, you can also find based on rewards. There are some islands that require you to do dailies, and they're time locked. It won't be an issue if you find out early, you'll have enough time in the end. As for some place like Anguish Style, there'll be one at 1370 when Vern South comes out called Chaos Bridge. You won't be able to miss it though because it's on way through the story quests. I will share some quick Chaos Dungeon builds in the future maybe. In the meantime, something like Contender and Preemptive Strike is a good choice. As you progress through the game, you will also get relic gears that will help you extra DPS as for supports. You can always equip DPS skills as a bard to fasten the runs. Prelude of Death is pretty good. Party is also okay too. So gold engraving book investment is a really hard question to answer because everyone has different goals. You may have heard this somewhere else, but easiest way to think of it is if you buy the gold engraving with X amount of gold, you need to calculate how much money you are going to save in the future. For example, you guys asked what to get if you're enjoying multiple characters. In the end, every DPS class will use Grudge. So if I say I pay X amount of gold on yellow Grudge, I only need 3 nodes worth of accessories for X number of characters instead of stone and accessories. Since I have 18 DPS characters, the amount of total accessories I bought is less than myself reading Yellow Grudge, versus buying all the Grudge accessories without Yellow Grudge. This is the first thing I've invested because I want to make many characters. As always, it's crucial to look through the auction house and plan out yourself because everyone plays differently and there's no right or wrong. If you happen to hold the selection pouches, as far as I know, you're able to select the new classes engravings when they come out. I saved mine when the artist came out and I read the important ones right away. As for materials, easy way to calculate Murray's shop is to calculate the blue crystals into gold and compare that with the auction house. Honor fragments tend to be always very valuable due to tradable ones. Only being able to be obtained from chaos gates. So if you happen to plan and play for a long time, always stocking up on honor fragments is recommended, or be very diligent in your chaos dungeon runs. On your stronghold, your honing buff happens at 1385. And there's also another one after that buffs your honing rates and your materials used after 1340. In order for you to get this buff on your stronghold, you need to be 1460 and then research it afterwards. So it is important to invest into leveling your stronghold whenever you can. As for honing patches, nobody knows beyond that because the director can change it around just for NA. It is always most optimal to have 6 characters because only 6 characters will be able to make gold off of weekly content. This doesn't mean you should get 6, you can have less. Majority of my friends who are enjoying the game, the right amount of time, which is 3 to 5 hours a day, has 3 characters and as time passes, they have a character that can enjoy final end content. As for gearing them, always save them as much as you can, because solo content tends to be very easy compared to Legion raids people will face in the future at 14-15. If you play the dailies on them naturally, it will definitely reach higher tiers you will need them to be. MVP might change later, but usually it's a combination of 7 different attributes: damage, stagger, heal, defense and shielding, kills, and battle items. Title is given by the more percentage you have done in these categories and average accordingly. This is why sometimes you see 2 annihilators and healers. Think of it as a performance and damage related ones only appear if you do more than 40%. But most of the time healers appear because the point weight is being much bigger at that category. Deleting an ult sounds bad. He can make additional silvers for you for easy through Lopang. Light of Salvation turns your damage into holy damage. It's not as complicated as you think. It changes nothing unless you fight a monster who is weak or very weak to holy damage. In this case, Vikas and Broshaza Gate 4 boss. From what Koreans say is 10% damage increase to them. Now the 18 and the 30 set increases 7 and 8%. This means that it simply increases holy damage. So if you happen to see 1000 damage every hit, if you have Light of Salvation set, you simply multiply that by 7% at 18 set and another 8% at 30 set. If they happen to be weak on light damage, you multiply that to 10% as well. So a 30 set would simply increase your damage from 1000 to 1250. It's a very simple percentage increase on top of whatever everything you have. Hence why it's the best in slot for long-term veteran players. You can get the Broshaza pet if you beat Broshaza hard 6. This means it will require you to be at least 1560 eye level and beat the raid 5 times, which will take you 5 weeks. As for horns, it's just the first time. Legion raids are the same as Argos raids in NA. If you clear it, you get the necessary rewards. I think tier lists are pretty pointless in the game, except the ones I made for beginners friendly. Because the point was to tiering it out which one's the easiest to play and safest to play, right? I think it's more valuable if I can explain the positives and negatives of each class. This is because in the end, it's up to the player, the pilot, not the class be doing more damage than the other. And so this wraps up the video. It's a big surprise. Thank you for all the questions. I appreciate it a lot. Perhaps we can do it again next week if you guys want it. As always, thanks guys. Bye.